morning, people of the internet. You are listening to Debi Radio 79.5 FM, a podcast where we discuss the movie Grosse Pointe Blank 1 minute at a time. I am your co-host, Hugh Dev.
And I'm your other co-host, Dev Sodiga. And on today's show, we're going to be looking at minute 20. And joining us for the show, we have catch you later, GBP fan extraordinaire.
Yeah. Hi.
So in this minute, we see Martin actually drive up to the outside of WGPM-FM, Grosse Pointe's local radio station, to look in through the window and see Debi Newberry DJing. And she sees someone that she thinks she recognizes, tries to figure out more before Martin jets off and goes to cruise by his old high school.
Mm-hmm. So, Minnie Driver, finally on screen with her face.
We get to see the whole face this time, yeah.
Indeed, what a face. It's such a remarkably fast ascension in career terms. It feels like. I know she had, smaller TV roles over here in the UK, and she has a very small role in GoldenEye as the Russian cabaret singer in Robbie Coltrane's bar. But that was enough to, as always with Bond films, to get her, more work in the States. But she took interesting roles at the time, and I think this is a perfect example of it. She was not simply going, "Oh well, what's the next big hit I need to be in?" She always chose interesting things, and I feel like that made her stand out from some of the other actresses of the era.
I know that she broke here on Circle of Friends. Is that right?
Yep.
Circle of
Friends?
Friends?
The Maeve Binchy film. Yep.
I can still hear her saying she's a stupid fat article. And I was just like, it's just seared in my brain. I'm like, oh. But yeah, that's when, she was on TV, but not here. Yeah. So Circle of Friends, I think, would have been our introduction to her. Amazing right away.
She was in a short that got Oscar nominated, and I remember watching it because back then we actually were lucky enough to get shorts on TV occasionally, and I was a night owl, so I remember watching Channel 4 here late at night, and this short came on, and it was just different enough that I was kind of like, okay, this is really interesting, because it was a meet cute, and the two characters are talking direct to camera, so you are basically hearing what. At first, you think, "Oh, wait, I'm in the position of the other character," until you realize that no, what's being said is what they think. They're literally stream of consciousness, and you are privileged to see it from the other point of view. And it's just a very neat, nifty little concept that works really well as a short. But she was riveting in it, absolutely riveting. And I just remember thinking, "Crikey, this she's got real chops as an actress. But what's going to be next?" But yeah, no, she's just done a biography last year, I think it was, or earlier this year, which she's been out promoting, and I know she's got some more TV work on the way, which is cool. But yeah, really, really, really interesting actress, and a bit different from a lot of the others in the 90s, I feel, personally. I don't know what you guys think.
And then kind of come the end of the 90s, she definitely took a chunk of time out, right? So she's just started coming back into the business, which...
That's fun to think about.
She did a few TV shows. There was that one with
Eddie Izzard.
The Riches. That's what it was called.
The Riches.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. That was too short-lived. That's one of the few American shows that did not run long enough. Yeah. Almost every other American show runs about 3 seasons longer than I want, and that one did not run nearly long enough.
I can watch anything Eddie Izzard is in all day, forever.
That Day of the Triffids that he was in.
I've not seen that.
It's a really interesting.
But I should make the point that given recent press here in England, we need to be while he's given us permission to still call him Eddie Izzard, he is no longer Eddie Izzard. She is Susie Izzard. I should correct. Susie. Yeah.
She's touring as Eddie Izzard. Is how.
Yes.
How I believe it was introduced.
Yeah, the tour is still branded as such, but
Right.
she's quite clear in interviews now as, yes, that you can say that, but I am Susie.
Which I love. I'm so excited about that. It's just, sorry, Eddie Izzard is not part of this discussion.
No, please, by all means, go ahead. No, absolutely. No reason.
Huge fan, this is going to sound silly, learned so much history from him, from his comedy, that it trickled down to, I have a 32-year-old, so 20 years ago, that would have made him like 12. And I had him listening to Eddie, and I could hear him repeating things and be like, yeah, we're learning things here. I could listen to Izzard explain anything, and be riveted and learn from it. Just captivating.
I've got a flag. Do you have a flag?
Flag. Yes. Oh my gosh, I do have a flag. I didn't bring it, but I do have one.
I do feel like it's interesting. There's a number of British comedians who have found a second career in this century doing either reality or documentary TV in Britain. Some of them doing history, and the one person who hasn't done enough of that, in my opinion, is Izzard. Izzard could have. I would watch so many documentaries if Izzard was presenting. But chosen to do other things, and that's fine by me.
The other thing is, like, Izzard's career as a stand-up comic has never really gone away, right? Like, just perpetual touring. So I think anything else is always generally secondary to that.
I feel like the time he took out when he was here at the time to run as an MP was also a good example of the sort of thing that, it's a shame they didn't win, but that's somebody I would have voted for if I lived in that region.
Yeah.
And when did he do that?
Crikey! When was trying to remember the last election was, because it's been so long since we've had.
Was it actually the last election, or was it a little bit?
No, I think it was a little bit further back.
I feel like it was pre-Brexit referendum.
I think it was.
Became a talking head in the run-up to Brexit on TV, which massively.
That sounds about right. 2020. No, it was 2022.
Wow.
Oh wow.
It really was. Labour MP in Brighton. The problem is Brighton is legendarily the one place in Britain where the Greens win every time.
Yeah.
So right. He was up against quite a tough not opposition, because they're the same side of the political spectrum, but he was up against a very established political sphere there, and in some ways it doesn't surprise me, but in other ways I kind of think it's a bit of a shame. Anyway, but yeah, to come back.
This tour, if the position had been won, would we have this tour right now?
No, you wouldn't.
Might be a little more common sense in Parliament, which I take that over another tour, honestly.
Definitely lacking that, yeah. But I mean,
we strayed dangerously into politics. I'm probably going to come.
That's fine. So coming back to Minnie Driver, so we talked about her acting. A great deal of this minute relies, because we've had her voice carrying us over from the last minute, but a great deal of what is important here is her face in the window.
Mm-hmm.
Her face is what's important here, and I do wonder if that's the key reason they cast her over other potentials for the role. I imagine there was more than enough American actresses they could have got for the role, but I suspect they wanted her because of that face and what she can do with it on camera, and the way she can put so much emotion and thought and feeling into a look.
I think there's also an element here that she's not prom queen.
Yes.
I think an awful lot of American actresses that you think of are prom queen. And that's not where Martin comes from. Like, Martin and Debi were the thing in high school, but they were the thing to the losers, because they were the touchable prom king, prom queen couple.
The alternative.
Like, the alternative ones that weren't ever going to be hit, right? We're not looking at hair straighteners and peroxide. We're looking at a woman who knows like who she is and what she's doing, and is somewhat privileged for sure, as we'll find out when we go and visit her later on. But like very definitely have that thing, and maybe did sit a little under Martin's shadow in high school, but still like had a personality, had their own identity, and that personality wasn't revolved around beauty or fashion or any of the things that I think are all too easy to lean into with a movie of this nature, and I think something that John Cusack really wanted to avoid, and probably the entire team making the film wanted to avoid. And I can't think of many other actresses at this time that could pull that off. At this time of this demographic, like age group. Because they just didn't get the opportunities, right? There weren't many actresses that were filling that role.
The only one I can think of who would have done it, but then she'd do something similar, and therefore probably wouldn't repeat herself in Go, was Sarah Polley. Because Sarah Polley's amazing actress, but also back then she was still doing slightly quirky indie weirdness as well before she sort of ramped into pure drama like she does as a director. And I feel like if anyone could have pulled it off, it would be her, because she's got a very particular stare with the way she uses those eyes. But I agree with you 100% on this. And in fact, given Driver's hair as well in this film, I feel like you say not fashionable, but I feel like she would have at one point had Debbie Harry's hair, and then maybe had Susie's hair later on, and I feel like she would have been cool with it.
Right.
There would have been a bow involved.
Right.
Yeah. Within her own context, she would have looked cool.
Exactly. And it's the old like Hollywood double standard, right? Like it's just it reminds me in a way a lot of She's All That. The like reinventing the person to make them prom queen, and it's like, yeah, but you picked a person that literally not very much had to be done to, because you needed to make it Hollywood. And I think this is the case, right? Like Minnie Driver is still a very, very good looking woman, but she's just enough away from the American standard or the Hollywood standard that gives her something different, right? And in a couple years' time, we will see Carrie-Anne Moss, who I think kind of is similar in that regard.
Cheekbones.
Yeah, but I don't think but I think is a little too elegant to do this. Whereas I think Minnie Driver in this role is very much more grounded. And I think that's really what sells it.
I do remember being surprised at the time that Minnie Driver would do this. I mean, it's all falling into place during this, but it did seem at the time that it was odd for Minnie Driver to make this choice. And I think the thing you just said about the something you said about not inelegance, but I don't know, there's something really open about Minnie Driver's face.
Yeah.
I equate her to a sunflower. Her face is very, very open, and her hair, I think, just would change shapes over the years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think she probably would have always kept it natural like that. But it just changed shapes over the years.
Yeah.
Guys, I've just discovered something I didn't know, and I'm just going to make sure that it's properly sourced. Yeah, it is sourced. Okay. I didn't know that she was a musician before she was an actress.
What?
I didn't know that either.
She was on Bomb the Bass's album in '94, Clear, as part of the outfit River. She was then in the Milo Roth band. She then signed in 2001, so after this film, with EMI and Rounder. Her first album reached number 34 in the UK. First single peaked at number 68. Wrote 10 of the 11 songs on the album. Supported 2004 support act for the Finn Brothers, so the New Zealand guys, for their UK portion of the world tour. Oh god, you see, I've never seen Joel Schumacher's version of the Phantom of the Opera, but she's in that singing. Did a second album in 2007 with guest appearances by Ryan Adams, The Cardinals, Liz Phair. Man, she knows the right people. Third album in 2014. I mean, I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's how he
Wow.
got into this. If it was through either Joe Strummer or I can't think of the other music exec on this film's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, when
wondering
we
if
looked, I mean, yeah, I think there is I think there's a definite affinity there,
yeah,
for the sounds as well as what they're trying to do visually, and that
yeah,
also makes her being a DJ quite a logical thing as well.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Wiki man, so comes to the rescue, based on
Yeah.
a Guardian article from 2014.
Okay.
I'm just gobsmacked. Sorry, I'm just like my mind is blown right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, not meaning to change the.
No, please do go ahead. Gear change.
When she looks through the window at him and he's looking towards her,
Mm-hmm.
and they were a high school couple, I would know my ex-boyfriend even now, 40 years later. I would know my ex-boyfriend from a car at that distance. I would know just the way he sits or his mannerisms. I can't
Yeah.
think of what they would be, but for sure
Yeah.
she knows who is
Oh
in that
yeah.
car. It's just the way he would sit or whatever.
I think it's more questioning whether she's not hallucinating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I think where the uncertainty is, and that's why she says like "Welcome back, pointers," because she wants to see the reaction when he hears that.
Yeah.
Good.
But I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think you're right. Even with the hat and the sunglasses and the tinted windows and the distance,
And the silly gloves.
you still
Mhm.
my God, those gloves do
They're
look awful.
so bad.
It's the exposed forearms. If
It
there were
is,
shirt
isn't it?
sleeves, it would be fine.
So
But those exposed forearms,
it's just
hairy,
weird.
hairy exposed forearms.
But he's got that high school cockiness in the way he's leaning.
Yep.
That
Mhm.
angle to the shoulder, like that whole like, yay, I'm here. Time for you to
Checking
leave your
out.
job. Yeah, come on over.
Mhm.
You want to get in this car. And it's just like, oh man.
I do wonder when he changed though, because he leaves there and then he rocks up to the high school. The baseball cap's gone, the sunglasses are gone, the jacket's gone, the gloves are gone. He's now just in a black suit with a black shirt and a black tie.
It's not hard. I reckon it's just a jacket change.
I mean, possibly, but I'm wondering if he
'Cause
checks into the hotel or something in between.
maybe. I mean, like
That
we
may
said,
be more stuff
there is a 4-hour cut. We know so. 4-hour assembly rather. So yeah. Who knows? Anything's possible at this point.
I would watch those 4 hours.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would.
I would
Despite what we
happily
said.
do that.
Yeah,
I suspect I may not think them as good,
Yeah,
but I'd still
Yeah.
watch them.
absolutely. Yeah,
It
just
just-
for more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think we're slowly convincing ourselves to watch Warring and do a follow-up podcast of Warring 5 minutes because we just want more of John Cusack as a hitman, even if it's
Well,
not going to include a few.
my copy of Warring did arrive the other week.
I know. I still haven't picked mine up. I'll get it.
We gotta do it. Come on, ain't nobody else gonna do that film.
I don't know this film you're talking about.
So it's the in theory sequel to Grosse Pointe Blank.
What?
So
So
Joan Cusack's back. Joan Cusack is back.
What?
I don't think Minnie Driver is in it.
What year?
No, it's 2014
or
or
something.
5. Something. No, it's quite what it's early noughties, but the thing is, it's not doesn't have the quality or the pedigree. It's basically one of the first films from an Eastern European low budget outfit who would grow to be big guys. They're the guys who now produce like the Expendables and stuff like that. But back then they were just doing straight to DVD drag, and somehow they got involved with and got to produce this thing. So they basically the whole thing had to be shot in Bulgaria, on the cheap. And I don't know. I've never heard anyone say anything good about it, but the fact that everyone who's 2008, there we go.
Okay.
Everyone we keep coming across who's involved with Grosse Pointe Blank has said at least once if they're in Warring, oh yeah, that was the intended sequel.
Wow.
So yeah, the cast is still impressive. You've got Marisa Tomei, Hilary Duff, Dan Aykroyd's back, Ben
Wait,
Kingsley's got a role
How is Dan Aykroyd back?
because he plays a different role. It's like any of these things. You cast people, you bring people. I mean, nobody's got the same name on it. And you bring people back. You just give them different roles. It's like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You know, Dan Aykroyd is the vice president.
Duh.
Of course.
You
That's
know,
not a worrying thought after watching him in this film at all.
exactly. You know, but even Ben Kingsley's in it, which shows you that that I'll
Wow.
take the money. Yeah, I know, but this is the thing, right?
But
Like
it's bad.
like he just done a couple of really good films, but this is how you know that he was. That character he plays in Iron Man 3.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the supposed King version of the Kingpin, but then turns out to be an actor from Croydon who's been paid lovely to do the role. It's one of the best. It's one of the. It both simultaneously one of the worst and best twists in MCU history because it annoyed the fanboys so much because they basically turned the Kingpin into not Kingpin. Oh god, I can't even say his name properly. Oh, the Mandarin, sorry, into a joke, but the whole idea of him being, oh, lovely, I was just doing it for the money, and I was just like, you're not even acting here. You just are being Ben Kingsley. But yeah, I still want to see it. I still need to see it now we've done doing this podcast because even if we don't do a movie by minutes on it, I just need to find out what the hell this mess of a film is like.
And you haven't seen it either?
No.
Wow. And it's called what again?
War Inc.
Yeah, INC.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, because if a film deserved a sequel, it was this one. But I'm kind of glad it never got one. It needs the lightning in the bottle of it is half the fun.
I don't think there's anywhere really for the story to go that would have made for a good sequel.
That would have been satisfying. Yeah.
I think there's one place, but it would be. The problem is, other films have done that sort of thing. I would have enjoyed seeing them trying to be a couple in his world.
Yeah,
he's gonna leave his world.
Yeah,
well, that's what he says. That's what he says. Come on,
they come back as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they have on
basically it's a little bit of that, but I not quite that. It would be more fun, like the Mickey take version of that,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be more likely to end up in a kind of Thelma and Louise, like on the land.
Oh,
that's depressing.
Exactly. That's why I'm like this ends nicely, but it would end up being so contrary to the tone of this film.
It'd be too dark.
Even you're like living in his world, right? Like I don't think there's any way that Debi's character would play out well.
Yeah, I mean
the Debi. It's a little too cute.
I mean the closest thing I can think of to a film that would look like that is Nobody, the one that came out recently with what's his name? Oh, crikey, the guy from Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Saul.
Yeah, so he plays. So in Nobody, he gets to do the whole John Wick thing because it's the John Wick production team. But he plays a guy who he's just Mr. Normal, and he has a job, and he goes and does it every day, and he's a family, he has kids, and nobody knows he has that past. And eventually something happens that means that if he doesn't reveal who he is and do his thing, family gets threatened. And it's that there's just enough humor attached to the film. Like, it's brutal as a film. It's really John Wick brutal. But there's just enough humor attached to it, particularly once the family do realize. And I was kind of like, I can sort of see that, but I think that what that loses is the romance element. I mean, I feel like there's like like the Before Sunrise sequels, like I feel like there's a before a Before Midnight with action,
which is Nobody.
That's such a terrible thing to say. I mean, Julie Delpy would smack me if she heard that one. I mean, it's just yeah, but you know what I mean. The idea of keeping the relationship element, which is so crucial to Grosse Pointe Blank, and the rom-com element of it is by far and away taken more seriously and played more seriously than the action movie stuff. And that's where I think a sequel would work if you could manage that tone. And I don't think anyone else can. I think that's the problem. I just don't think that anyone other than Armitage. I think the fluke of all the takes and the time pressure to cut it all into a film that had to go out. I just don't think that magic happens in the same way anymore.
Yeah. No. All right. Anything else for this minute?
Anything on the? Do we want to say anything about the? When we've mentioned the Clash before and Joe Strummer, I mean.
Oh, really? Yeah, we should probably talk about that song, because I think this was probably my introduction to that song. I don't think it's one of the Clash's bigger hits, or at least it's not one that I got to hear on the radio as a kid.
Is it from London Calling or Combat Rock?
I think it's from London Calling.
Yeah, I think it's from London Calling as well.
But like anytime I hear that song, I see this scene. It's just so, and it's so punchy for this moment as well. Yeah.
Let's find it out. So really can't fail. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. 1979 album, London Calling.
What track number?
Oh, 7. How do you not know that?
Because he's so young, Catch. That's why. Because he's so young. Oh, yeah. Duet between Mick and Joe. Praises the rude boys of Jamaica in the 60s who challenged their elders' status quo. Derives from Desmond Decker's 1967 song 007 Shantytown. And is in homage to Ray Gange, who had portrayed a roadie who quits his job to follow the Clash around in the 1980 film Rude Boy. So it's an actual response to Rude Boy. I didn't even know that. Yeah. That's amazing. Rudy Can't Fail was the working title of a planned second movie, for which the Clash would then provide the soundtrack.
Interesting.
So
I'd listen to that.
I would watch the hell out of that too. Yeah, absolutely. Fascinating. Yeah. Oh, Joe, we miss you. We really do.
Yeah.
We lost Shane the other day as well. It's just that whole era's going. Yeah. Well, anyway, on that note, yes.
Nice and depressing. Yeah, that was super.
Sorry. It just can't be helped, can it? I mean, thank God it lives on. They live on through the music. I mean, there's an interesting thing about the reggae side of it, isn't there? Because I mean, she mentions all these other really cool hit bands of the moment, like Morphine, who I absolutely adored, right? But we don't actually hear them.
Yeah.
Right. What we hear is stuff that sounds much more of the era that, you know, as you were saying, Catcher, when you were at school and then left school, and when I was at school, and you know, when these characters went into school, and it's very much kind of they say the right. She says the right things as the DJ. They know the right things, and as you said in the previous episode, Deb, you know, we're going to see a whole different thing when we get to the dance. But I find it interesting the number of sort of reggae or reggae influenced items that come up, and again, is that the music coordinator, or is that Strummer who's helping the music coordinator, or you know, because obviously he adored reggae. I don't know, but it's an interesting, again, for me personally, coming from, you know, having grown up in England, I find that really, really weird thing to associate with what appears to be Grosse Pointe Blank, Michigan.
Yeah,
it is much more Brixton, isn't it?
Oh, not Detroit. Oh my God.
I kind of wonder actually what a reggae soundtrack to Attack the Block would have looked like.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Oh, I love that film so much.
I know, I love it so much, and I love introducing it to American friends without subtitles and just watching them.
Yeah. About
so
writing it down.
Yes.
What is it?
It's called
Attack the Block.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you go on. You say it.
It's a movie done by Edgar Wright, who did Hot Fuzz.
Well, he produces it.
Yes.
Produces it.
He produces it. It stars Nick Frost, who's obviously in those. It also is the first film with John Boyega in it, who then
Boyega's debut.
Star
Wars.
Okay.
Sorry.
It is set in what you would call a project in South London, and basically a bunch of kids who are
Well, they are thugs. Let's be honest. They're street thugs.
young thugs
Yeah.
are
not nice people.
basically witness a something falling out of the sky, like a meteor or something falling out of the sky. Realize it's an alien, like think they've killed it and pull it off and like take it to like be kept in their drug dealers like penthouse.
That's where I keep mine.
Flat in the project, and all hell breaks out. And so it's got a little bit of like the Raid vibes, if you've ever seen the Raid.
Yeah, it's John Carpenter. It's
a lot of John Carpenter in it.
Yeah, because whereas in John Carpenter, like the Assault on Precinct 13 thing, where you've got the cop and the crim, in this one you've got the crim, who's the hero, but then you've got Jodie Whittaker, aka the last Doctor who plays a nurse, and she basically, her role ramps up, and eventually it's the two of them trying to defend everything. And it's just a really great film. Its writer and director is a mate of Edgar Wright's and a comedian in his own right, and it's really well soundtracked and cleverly shot, and it's properly nasty as a horror film should be, because when people get hit, people get taken out, they get taken out. This is like, they're not going to make an excuse and say, oh, these guys are kids. No,
right.
They know what they're getting in. They don't completely know, but they are grown up enough to rob people at knife point and do that sort of thing. And so when this comes down, they're the only ones who can actually save humanity, because nobody else knows what the hell is going on. Nobody else understands, and they go for it. And it's brilliant.
And and the other feature of it, the reason I enjoy subjecting American friends to it, is they're all speaking in a very, very authentic South London patois that I grew up with, and like is just like, it feels like being back home to me, but is fairly impenetrable if you're not very familiar with it, because it has a lot of Afro-Caribbean influence in the language, because Brixton is where a lot of Afro-Caribbeans and the Windrush settled. So it's a really diverse mixing pot of an area. It's not technically in Brixton, though. It's in area, but
it's in Detroit. Absolutely.
But you know what? They could make a sequel to it in Detroit, and it would work so simple. That's how put together it is as a piece of American influenced British film. Is you could just drop a sequel anywhere in the world, and it would work because of the idea and the concept.
The stakes would be raised. There'd be firearms instead of knives. And
precisely.
Cats, but
But I mean, Boyega's been trying to make a sequel along with the writer-director for years, and they still haven't got it off the ground.
Oh wow!
He got sidetracked by Star Wars. He said in a recent interview that they're still working on it. I have no hope we'll ever see it, but if it gets made, I would. It would be good.
But I have to watch it without subtitles.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
We might have to do a movie night. Actually, we'll have the whole Roller Derby team and
then you can just poke fun at me for 2 hours straight because I don't understand.
Oh, I don't think you'll have any problem figuring out most of it just on the basis of the way they're acting. They're pretty.
Yeah, you'll follow the story. It's not. Yeah, you'll follow the story. Also, Jodie Whittaker provides that translation layer, because she's
basically
the nurse. She's speaking received pronunciation. She's pretty intelligible, but the kids are definitely.
And there's also the young white weed dealer. He cracks me up so much. The fact that he's introduced with to that's the sound of the police is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a British cinema. Like, he's the sort of guy that would have gone to university with Dev, but he's here in this place.
Yes. Quite literally.
Listening to hardcore rap, and it's like, okay, you're that kind of guy.
I are several blocks away because it's a bit too nice for the area that he's going to.
Yeah.
Problems.
Anyway, shall we do the ending for this minute, by the way, before we forget?
I'm going to have some serious editing on these minutes.
Sorry, you really are. Okay, shall we just go with the ending and leave you to figure it out later, or do you want to wrap this up? Because I feel like we've done everything in terms of the music as well.
Yeah, I think we're good. We'll just...
Okay, let's do this. All right, then. You're starting the outro.
I am. This was minute 20 of Grosse Pointe Blank podcast, Debi Radio 79.5 FM, featuring your hosts, co-writers, and co-producers, myself, Dev Sodiger, and Hugh David.
Today's guest was Catch You Later, GPB fan extraordinaire and roller derby enthusiast.
Yes.
Where can people find you online, Catcher?
North Bay Derby.
There we go. Is that across all the social networks?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. You can find us on all good podcast players, as well as YouTube, X, Spotify, or in all places we are at the handle at Debi Radio, DEBI Radio, as well as our website, debiradio.com. Once again, DEBI Radio.
And if you want to talk with us, you can find us on our Facebook listeners group, Debi Radio 79.5 FM Fan Club.
Sure was clear that all of this was new. Concentrating hard like a little girl, smoking for the first time. It wasn't a moment, it was a feeling.